My girls are currently having a little bit of PTSD from all of the homeschool videos I made them do. They're like, Mom, this is kind of like the homeschool video. But they agreed to come on and talk a little bit about parenting adult children and cultivating resilience. Although they're both like, I don't know if we qualify, but we're going to talk about it anyways.
We'll see.
We'll see. And some epic parenting fails on my part, but hey, we all make crazy mistakes. So I'm really glad you're here. Hey, everybody. They're telling you that you're brave.
Yeah.
Or they're telling me that I'm brave.
I feel really nervous right now.
You nervous, Ellie?
Yeah.
A little nervous. You girls make them feel right at home. Also, give the video a like and share it with your friends. This is going to be a fun one. So we have a little bit of a structure of what we want to talk about, but mainly we're just going to chat. So I'm really happy to have them home for college. Tom is really happy to have them home. So, and we're just really glad you're here. So we're going to kind of talk about mistakes that I made, mainly 4 mistakes that I hope us sharing this today will help you not make the same mistakes. And then we'll kind of talk through the opposite of that mistake and how to cultivate emotional and mental resilience in your kids. So first one is this. I think we as parents often have a tendency to possibly coddle our kids a little too much. I read a book a while back that was called, I think, Coddling of the American Mind. Excellent book. And I probably did it early on, but by the time these girls came along, I was better at it. And it made me realize that when they got into middle school, high school, especially as they were entering college, and there's all the adulting you have to do, all the forms you have to fill out and all of that, I made them do it all themselves. Right, girls?
Yeah. Well, we also dual enrolled our last 2 years of high school. And I think that helped a little bit too, because there was a lot of stuff we had to do for that. And I know there was so many times that we were like, Mom,
will you fill out this form? Mom, will you call the college? Mom, will you? And I'd be like, nope, you got to do that. Ellie especially didn't love that.
It was terrible. But I'm grateful for it now because...
Yeah, because now it's it's not really a thought. It's not like, oh, I have to do this. You just do it. But before, I was like, I can't just
And do you feel like it did serve you well?
Mm-hmm.
Once you got to college, because there's so much you have to do on your own. And you don't feel as overwhelmed by it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the responsibility is now on us. If I want to get something done and I want it done when I need it to be, then I have to remember and I have to do whatever. So I think that did help.
Yeah. At the time, I'm sure it felt unpleasant. I remember at the time they would be like, you're the mom.
Yeah. And I think a lot too, some of my friends maybe their moms would
do it. Yeah.
Do it all. And then when you wouldn't, I would be like, okay, do you not see that?
See that all my friends' moms are doing this for them?
Yeah.
But it's funny because I think about this with Tom too, because he's so wild, and just allowing him to have a lot of freedom and responsibility. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that there's not going to be consequences to that. Like the other week when he wrecked the golf cart. Right. But I also am not, it's just not my personality to micromanage my kids. I am not in all their business all the time, trying to micromanage them. And I'm not even saying that this is necessarily the right way, but I feel like I learned early on that you don't really do them any favors by doing that. And I'm sure I did it to a certain degree, when you were younger. But by the time they got to middle school, high school, I was like, yeah, they need to kind of figure this out on their own.
Well, also, I think once I got into college, you also realize that some people my age don't have the choice to ask their mom to help them, or they just have to do it. That's just always what they've had to do. And it kind of gives you a perspective. Yes, you're there to help, but also you do have to learn it on your own. Because some people don't even have the
True.
like
The help with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or somebody to talk about it with. Yeah. I think that's true. So I would love to know from you, do you feel like you coddle too much? Do you feel like you need to give your kids a little more freedom, a little more responsibility so that they can start to figure it out on their own? Or do you have a tendency to like overdo it? And I think it is a little bit of, driven by personality, but I'm happy now that I did it the way I did it later on. The second mistake is I feel like we're going to get into homeschooling a little bit. This is a little bit of a sore subject with my girls, y'all. Not really, but my second point is we often live our own unfulfilled dreams through our kids, or we try to. This is a huge mistake. I will tell you when we finish this point what I think is a better way to do it, but I did this probably to a significant degree when I homeschooled my girls because I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't have the best education experience and my girls are going to have an amazing experience and they're going to learn Latin and they're going to read the Odyssey when they're in 5th grade and they're going to memorize all of the scriptures. And I feel like there was a part of that was driven by my own need to like prove myself or, relive my own childhood, read books that I never read when I was younger. And I was kind of a little bit intense during those years.
A little bit.
Go ahead. Tell everybody. Tell them what you think, girls.
I think me and Ellie's experience were different.
Was different.
Through homeschooling. I'm definitely more of a social person, and definitely back then too, I felt so like disconnected from other people my age maybe, and I like in the back of my mind kind of always wished that maybe I went to public school or whatever it was. Yeah. But I think really looking back on homeschooling, there's like so many things about it that I'm thankful for that we did, but in the moment I think I thought it was so weird and like so many people like didn't do it that way. And I, just because of my personality, like I want to be the social butterfly. Like I also searched for the approval of others. And I felt like being homeschooled and weird. Like the things we were doing, it just felt like it made me so weird. Which kind of did a little bit. But like, I think now there's so many things that like, I don't know, like being able to crochet. Let's give that for an example.
She can crochet.
I can crochet and I can knit.
Nobody's business.
But now, like, people watch me crochet and they're like, how do you
crochet?
Do you know how to do that? But it's kind of
You're like, homeschooled.
Yeah.
Homeschooling for the win. Now, so Emmy is quite the extrovert. So homeschooling was harder for her. Ellie.
I was going to say, even looking back, I loved homeschool because I also was put into Emmy's grade and I really liked the challenge and like the way you made us read, like you said, the Odyssey, like really like hard, not harder, but just we did some difficult things. And I loved to think that I was doing more than selfishly. I was like,
she's an overachiever.
I was like, yeah, I'm pretty much invincible, but I just like really enjoyed the homeschooling aspect because also then we had more time to like, I'm a big reader, so we had a lot of time to do outside things.
Yeah. And Ellie hated school because, quote, I'd never have time to read. I was like, okay.
Yeah, we're pretty much the opposites. Like everything she loved about it was the things that I was like, ugh.
Hated it.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it, and I never thought you were like overbearing on us. There were times where I didn't want to do memory work, but I feel like it served me well in my life.
And so the converse of that is to keep pursuing your own dreams so that your kids don't feel this pressure of like, oh, I have to do this because my mom never got her high school glory or her high school years or whatever. And I think having your own life, your own dreams, your own goals, it really does keep you, because you guys, here's the deal. We are made to aim for things, to have goals, to keep going. And I think a lot of times after we have kids, we like put all of that on them. Like, oh, they should have dreams and they should have goals. And we put this pressure on them that they should do all these things. But I have found that the more I keep pursuing getting better myself, learning new skills, improving my own life, I enjoy my kids so much more, but I don't put like this weird pressure on them to like, oh, they have to do these things that I never did. So I did make that mistake. I feel like in the years I was homeschooling, I was like trying to prove something, trying to be the best mom.
Yeah.
But I feel like the last 10 years, I've really, really relaxed.
Well, also, I feel like at the time when we were homeschooling, and I'm sure this is different for Ellie, but for me, it's like all I wanted was to just be with friends and be away from here. I don't know, just because of like all the things in my mind. But now that you do have your own, like you're so busy with all the stuff you do online, I feel like I'm even more like calling you every day. Like it kind of like switched. It went from before me wanting to have nothing to be do away with from this, kind of, not all the way, but like a little bit in the back of my mind, to now it's like when I can come home, it's like the best. I don't know. It's kind of the opposite now.
And I would say both of you, probably M, because she's just more social. I mean, you do stay super connected. They both do. And especially when Ellie was home, Ellie and I were like, because she was home a year when M was gone, and we were super close. But I do feel like leaving helped that, because you're just interested in each other's lives. I'm interested in what they're doing. It's really exciting what they're doing. And I think they're actually interested in what I'm doing too. And it's kind of cool.
Well, it gave me a whole different perspective on it, and all the work that you put in, and why we homeschooled. I don't know. It just, when you grow up, you start to like look at things in such a different way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, something that I like noticed, because in the last few years of high school, I realized that I wanted to dance professionally, and it's not like a typical career, but like watching mom really like kind of go out of the beaten path, like creating your own business and stuff, that empowered me to feel like I could do something. I didn't feel pressure from you to like go do something more, like go be an accountant or something, which is fine, but that's just not what I wanted to do. So like watching you do your own thing was like, oh, then I can do my own thing too, and do what I love and be passionate about it. So
I agree, because because so many of our family, you were a doctor, Dad's a doctor, Taylor, Katie, all went into that field. Some people ask me like, did your parents not want you to like, do something more along those lines? But I never felt a pressure to do anything that I wouldn't enjoy. And I think that has a lot to do with homeschooling too, because we had all this creative outlet to really focus on like the things we really enjoyed.
Yeah, I love that. I remember M did have remember that one slight breakdown you had when you were getting ready to start college? And she's like, it was the cutest thing you ever said, I think. And she's like, she started crying. She was having this moment of like, I don't know what to do. And she goes, I don't want to do anything serious like you guys. Is there anything I can do where you just have to have a good personality? And I'm like, yes, for sure. And so I'm really excited. You just changed your major to tell them.
Child and Family Studies.
Child and Family Studies, you guys. That makes me so happy. Yeah.
I still don't know what I'm going to do, but
anyways, it's kind of cool. Okay, let's move on to are we on number 3? Number 3, you guys. It's so easy. We're all guilty of this. All of us parents, we have to have grace with ourselves, but we are all guilty of this, of thinking we're better, wiser, we know more, what they should be doing than they do. And all of us are guilty of this. And I have for sure made this mistake of feeling like you shouldn't hang out with a certain friend, or, like we think we know. And I learned basically from these girls and from my older kids, I learned that if you will really respect them as their own people, and trust them, give them some trust, like trust them. I remember we had this issue when you were in high school with just some people that you were hanging out with, and I wasn't sure about it. But I eventually came around and just decided whoever you love, I love. Right. And I do feel like that getting to that place is such a better place to be than feeling like we always know best. Because I think if they feel like you respect them and, you'll come alongside them and trust them a little bit, I don't know. I just feel like it's so much better.
Well, I remember being in high school, and it was kind of that stage for me where I finally got kind of what I wanted.
Yeah.
Like I had friends, and I, was very social, and I felt like I had like kind of made it. And at that time was when there was some friends. Looking back now, I see it from your point of view, but it's almost like you had to let me, give me the freedom to like have those friends, then later on see where you were right. But I don't think I would have ever actually taken that advice unless you would have let me do it myself and figure it out myself. And because now looking back, I agree with everything that you were saying at that point, but back then, because you were saying it and I felt so attacked, like personally attacked.
Yes.
I just wanted
like
to
I didn't trust
opposite.
you, or it does. I think that's the point. It drives them to do the exact opposite of what you want them to do. And having a little bit of understanding, or a little bit of like, okay, well, let's see how this goes. And I don't know. I just think that I learned really probably more through you, that just have a little bit of trust and faith that, the values that you taught your kids eventually will take hold,
For sure.
But they're going to make mistakes, you guys, because so did we, and so do we. And I think this is really, really important, because I think a lot of times we want them not to make any mistakes. We want them to prove to the world what good parents we are. And that really is the wrong way to look at it, because I want you to think about your own life, your own mistakes. Think of your own mistakes in parenting. We're not going to do it right, and they're not going to do it right. And having grace for them and grace for ourselves is really, really important. I think too, really allowing them to struggle and not trying to always fix everything. So when we were moving Ellie out the other day, she was not feeling good. It was a really stressful time.
I was being terrible. I will own up to it. I had a bad attitude all day.
Well, and the thing of it is, I was thinking to myself, plus Dad was stressed. And when Dad gets stressed, we all get stressed. And so I just had to remember to coach myself and say, like, this is stressful for all of us. We got a short amount of time to do a lot of work, and the transition of moving, like it was just a lot. And so when Ellie had her moment, I was just like, honey, it is totally fine. You totally should be stressed right now. Like, I think allowing them to have their own emotions and their own struggles, and realizing we get to have our own emotions and our own struggles. We get to let Dad have his own emotions and his own struggles, and it's all okay, and in the end, we realized, like, we made it through it, and we learned some things, and we can do hard things. And so anyways, I think, allowing some of those struggles. And I know that this year has had times where, you've called and been really upset, and it's so tempting to go, I know best. Let me tell you what you should do. Let me, fix it for you or whatever. But I think just doing a lot of listening and not always thinking, the answer, trying to fix it, trying to manipulate them. I think that's where it gets weird is, we can just become almost manipulative because we think we always know best. So I really try to. And my mom, Granny, which we call her, which we love dearly, was so good at this. We always felt like she just trusts us to know what we should do and to make the best decisions. And she was never at all overbearing, about how she let us make our own mistakes. But we always knew, no matter what happens, she's going to love us anyway. It's all going to be fine. And I am so thankful that I had her example.
Yeah,
in that way.
Also, you just will never understand how to bring yourself back from a situation if you've never actually been through it. And I feel like I've seen a lot of parents, even like to people who are my friends in college or just people I've seen, who are so overbearing and like so checking in every single second. Like, what are you doing? Why are you with, just like very
Micromanaging there. Yeah.
And it almost makes those people even more want to like separate themselves and like rebel, which makes the mom like even more, just like a cycle that will never end.
Yeah.
And the great thing about like how you have like dealt with situations like that is I never feel like I can't call you or like in any situation. But also you're not like, we talk almost every day, but you're never like, where are you? What are you doing? Like, who are you with? I think that would be very like suffocating, especially in college. I mean, you have to be able to go through the things that are going to happen and see why that was wrong and see why what you did was wrong and grow from it. I feel like just being in situations in high school and college like has given me such a different perspective on, I mean, this is my life. I'm responsible for how it goes now.
Yeah.
And I think I wouldn't have had that perspective if you hadn't have let me,
Yeah. I think too, the thing that we really want with our kids and with each other, like in this relationship, is we want to be connected, but often what we do disconnects us from each other. So, being too overbearing makes them not come closer to us, makes them go away from us. And so I always ask myself, is what I'm doing and how I'm showing up as a mom connecting me more to them or disconnecting me? Is it bringing us closer or farther apart? And that barometer really, really helps me know, like, oh, I'm just trying to control them now, or I'm just trying to manipulate them, Last one is to not use their behavior, or this is a mistake that we all make, is to use their behavior as a barometer for what kind of mom you are. So you use them and their behavior, their choices to decide your own emotional health, what kind of parent you are, what kind of mom you are. And this never, ever, ever works because it makes you weird and manipulative. Because if I need them to do a certain thing, turn out a certain way, make a certain choice, marry a certain person, if I need them to do that in order for me to feel good as a mom, I'm going to get very controlling and manipulative of them. So what makes a good mom? Does it mean your kids make the right decisions? Does it mean they follow in the footsteps of the family way? Does it mean they, choose things that you would choose? What does it actually mean? And what I have learned is that it means what I decide that it means. And I just decide that I have a standard for how I want to show up as a mom, and I don't measure it by the outcome of my kids. So I want to show up intentionally. I want to be connected to my kids. I want to love them and pray for them. Like, that's my standard for myself. And when I do that, I can be proud of how I'm showing up as a mom, regardless of what they choose. And I think it's so freeing for you as a parent, but it's also so freeing for them because they don't feel this weird pressure that you're always trying to control them. You're always trying to make the family look good by, what your kids choose or how they turn out or whatever. And I think this is maybe the hardest one too.
Well, I think it's grown us so much closer in college. Even all of us together, being away and making your own decisions and knowing that we're all busy. Like, we're all doing our own thing, but we always can come together.
Yeah.
About just the simple things and just like, I don't know. I feel like it's hard to explain.
Yeah. But do you Do you sense that sometimes? Because I don't do that perfectly and Dad doesn't either. You do sense times where we are trying to go, no, you should do this. Like you can remember what it's like to feel that pressure of like, well, I have to do this in order to make them
coming
happy.
From like my perspective, anytime that was happening, it almost made me like mad.
Yeah.
And then at that point I was like, why? And then it would make me want to like go leave or go like automatically just try to get away from the situation because I felt like I couldn't be good enough to like make
you happy or
Also, it brings like if it ever was like that, it's like you feel guilty because you're like nothing I ever am gonna do is gonna be enough for them to feel like it.
Yep.
It puts such a different kind of pressure and like guilt on your chest if you're not doing everything perfect. So I don't know.
Yeah. And I think it takes practice and it takes being willing to be wrong, being willing to be aware of when you're doing that and going, oh my gosh, I'm doing that again, where I'm trying to control how I feel. I'm basically, living in this place of my emotional life depends on what they choose or what they're doing or how, they're doing. And we have to remember that, what our kids do is outside of us. And what we think and feel, what we generate for ourselves is internal. And we're in charge of that. And we don't delegate that to them. It's too much pressure for them. And it also makes us miserable because then you can only feel good and, be in a good place yourself when your kids are like towing the line. Right. And, I just find when I get in that space where I'm doing that, it makes me miserable. And I'm sure it makes them miserable as well. So, anything else, girls, that you can think of? The reason I even wanted to bring them on is because we were just having this great discussion last night. And the girls are always so sweet when they were home, got home and we were chatting last night. They're like, we're so thankful. I think they see other, like the ways other people parent, the way they're, sometimes their friends' parents are, and not at all that we do it perfect because we've made a ton of mistakes. But I think if the one thing that I could say about having good relationships with adult kids is that the most important thing is to stay connected. And is what you're doing connecting you to them or disconnecting you from them? And that is sort of my principle that my own internal principle of, how to show up, to be supportive. You want to show up and be supportive, but you also want to make sure that they get to have their own life. You get to have your own life. Listen, you got enough to take care of in yourself. Taking care of this and making sure I manage my own mind and my own emotions is a full-time job. So micromanaging theirs, it just doesn't work. And I think it's very disconnecting, in your relationship with your kids. So,
yeah. And I think now our relationship has changed so much where it was like, even like last year of high school, beginning of college, like I felt like the times we talked was either I needed something or I needed to do something. And now it's more, I just want to talk to you. Like I want to, not like a friendship, but
but more like that.
Than it was, which obviously in high school, that's like a line you really need to be careful about because
you don't want to be friends with your kids.
Friends, but now because we put in all that work like before, now I feel like we have the relationship that is more fun and like more like a friendship. And that's so important to me in college because it just keeps me grounded. And even if like I'm struggling with friends or whatever it is, like I know that my family is here and will answer my call and won't judge, but will listen and give advice. And I think that's more important than, calling and being like, I saw you spent this much money. You know what I mean? Like just, and there if it's a problem, I think that it would obviously be addressed. But I feel like we were able to learn.
And in general, we just have a pretty laid back style. All of us, we're just laid back. We don't get into a lot of drama. you know, I am the type of parent, as you can probably tell from watching my interaction with Tom, I let a lot of things go. And it just, that has worked for me, you know, just not micromanaging every little thing.
I also think Tom coming into our lives changed all of us in the perspective we had, because before, really, me and Ellie were probably the thing you were focused on the most.
Yeah.
Because we were homeschooled and, you know, we're teenagers. And it almost felt like you said earlier, it's like you wanted us to be this certain way or whatever it was. Yeah. But when Tom came, it kind of like shifted all
You're
of
like,
our focus.
Now she's got plenty more to do than worry about what I'm doing.
I think it did help. Like,
yeah, I'm sure.
Now that you can't be solely focused on what either of us are doing.
Yeah.
I am like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm even more trying to like,
hey, Mom, what are you doing? Yeah. What do you think, Els?
Yeah, I feel like also once Tom came, like the coddling thing, like I was very happy that you didn't do too much of that before, because I knew how to do stuff on my own, and I didn't want to like say you were tied with Tom, he was like throwing a tantrum or something, and I had something that I had to do. I would just be like, you know what, I can just do it, and it like it just prepared me for like leaving and being alone in a city by myself for things that happen, and it's just like, okay, I just got to do it, which I think was another thing that happened when Tom came too.
Yeah, because I feel like they both moved away. So Emmy, you want to just tell them where you are, what you're doing?
Yeah. So I'm 20 years old and I am a sophomore. Well, I'm about to be a junior at UTC. Chattanooga.
So she's like 2.5 hours away.
But I guess 2 years ago was my freshman year, and I moved out, and Ellie was still home. And I just moved into a new house.
Yeah, so she got 2 new roommates. And then Ellie, give us your update. 19,
going into my sophomore year at Point Park as a dance major. It's in Pittsburgh, so about like 7 hours away. We can drive, which is nice.
She lives downtown.
Yeah.
Downtown, y'all. Little Bean Station girl lives in downtown Pittsburgh.
But it's been great. It's another big coddling thing. Like sometimes my friends will be like, I'll be on the phone with somebody and they'll be like, how do you talk so easily to like adults? And they're like, how do you just know what to say? And I'm like, I think it's just like, it just like prepared me a lot for what I've had to deal with in living in such a different environment than I'm used to. That was a big one for me. That really helped.
That's awesome.
I think homeschooling did do that. I don't know really why. Probably just because we were hanging out with you and your friends a lot. Yeah. But I feel like I almost could talk easier to adults than I could people my own age. Also,
love it.
Like through like me and Ellie obviously have been basically twins since we started.
They are like Irish twins. So.
But I think another thing that we were forced to be so close together. And I think for me, after the homeschooling, I was like, I want friends. Like, not just I don't want just a sister. I want friends. But now I feel like we're so close. And I mean, we can't talk all the time. We're both busy, but
yeah,
you get so much perspective when you come to college.
Yeah, like
on
being
relationships.
Just like.
It was so cute yesterday when Em came home because Ellie was already here and they were like, so happy to see each other. And they were in there earlier making TikTok videos. So it's going to be fun month having
checking on the talk.
All right. Any last thoughts, girls? We'll wrap this up. You guys have any questions? You can post them here. I'll come back and check. I didn't see very many here on the live stream, but if you have questions, just ask. We're really, really grateful for you and hope this helps a little bit to hear from the girls. And if you listen, you guys, if you are in Life Mentoring School this whole month, we're talking about the power of nurture. So we're going to talk about mentoring, mothering, giving birth to amazing things in your life. It's going to be a great month. And because our website was wonky last night, we are open for the rest of the day. So just go to lifementoringschool.com and Let us know if you have any questions. Angela, maybe put your email address in there so that if they have troubles, again, we can help people. Oh, social media. Any advice about social media?
Ugh.
I know raising kids in the age of social media
That is hard.
is hard.
know.
I will
still
say
struggle
though,
with
we
that.
got through all of our homeschooling years without it. And then it's really only been a thing for you guys, I would say, since later high school, college. But they're neither one, like you're neither one.
I think it's a lot different
Totally.
for kids that age now.
Yeah.
I mean, even like seeing some 14-year-olds, they look as old as me.
Well, I don't know. I feel like it started when she really instilled the love of doing things outside of social media for us. And then also just like, I don't remember it ever being a big point of contention. I guess this just depends on children's personalities, but we never had like giant fights
about it.
Give me your phone. Like, and so it was
Yeah.
never like, I can't live without it because mom's going to take it away for a month and a half. Like, so it was just like, I have it, but it doesn't take up that much of my mental space because I wasn't so worried about losing it all the time that I was like, I need to whatever. But I don't know if that just comes with.
But I think too, don't you think though, when you're really involved, like you were both really involved in dance for a long time, and then Emmy got all into, friendships and fun stuff, and now you're doing CrossFit. Like I think you're both really busy, and I think if you keep those kind of things, like even for Tom, of course, he loves to be on a screen, but he also loves being outside. So like last night, we were all outside playing soccer for an hour. We went down to the lake. He swam. We came back up. He could get on for 30 minutes. It's fine. I think not making such a big deal about it, but like Ellie said, kind of presenting all the other aspects of life as so amazing. I think that helps too.
Yeah, it's like
so.
The more you focus on adding in other things and the less you try to take
it all away,
like it just increases their love for things that are outside of it, I feel like.
Yeah. Good answers. All right. Thank you guys. We love you so much. We appreciate you being here. And I will see you, if you're in Life Mentoring School, I'll see you at 2:00 for our teaching for today. And otherwise, I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.